recording. We're good. We're ready. Hopefully we don't have any problems like last week. Hopefully this thing doesn't crap out. We're back at the 60 frames or whatever it was.
Have to go
beforehand.
to audio only.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to do that today. But plus hitting the table. Already starting off strong.
Yeah.
So first things first, I do want to announce. I mean, it's not really my thing to announce, but our podcast friend Jen released her. I think it's like her 6th book, which it's called. Wait, I have it here. I will let you guys know. I know I should be more prepared because it's like a YouTube. Okay, ready? It's called Uncensored YouTube Hacks: Pro Tips You Need to Master Video Impact. #1 bestseller already in 3 categories. I don't know how that works, but Jen's got she's got the magic touch, I guess, and your boy's in there. So I'm hoping I'll do some signings for you guys. It's $100 a signing.
Yeah.
But so I'll leave a link in the description for those of you that want to take a look at it. It's only $10, not even on Amazon. So hopefully you guys pick it up if you're into YouTube hacks and stuff. And then it's me and a couple other creators on there that she asked our opinions on things. So
she has a lot of experience, right?
She's got experience in everything.
Yeah. Right.
In everything. Definitely go pick that up if you're interested. I feel like I put some tidbits of wisdom in there, so hopefully you guys are interested in that. I'm curious to see what everyone else said. I didn't get to see the full back-to-back, like full everything that's in there, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick mine up, give it to my grandfather, who you guys know has his own book. So now I'm like,
don't say that. If he watches your podcast, he's gonna know his Christmas.
Yeah, because Papa knows how to get to the podcast.
You never know.
He still says it like we did last week. He's like, hey, I do what you want with that podcast. I'm like, Pops, I was like, a year ago.
He hasn't seen it?
He's seen it, but I don't think he knew what to make of it. You know, like I think he was like, whoa. But like he knew what it was, but I don't know if he knows how to access it.
That's okay. Your grandmother's still waiting for her crowds to start reading her at the mall, at the store. I was on a podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Where are all my fans?
So now I can say that my grandfather and I are the only 2 that have ever had books written about us.
That you know of.
I don't think anyone else is in any books.
Oh. Don't know of anybody.
I'd have to think about it, but all right, Mother. I don't even know actually, I do know where to start this week. We'll start with the YouTube news today. We got to talk about the Hawk Tuah crypto token.
You mentioned
this is a big one. For those of you that are not in the loop, I would be surprised if you haven't heard of this one so far. So I'm gonna assume you know who the Hawk Tuah girl is, who somehow got unbelievably famous for something she said, and now she's created this entire career out of it. Good for her. She's one of those few people that it's amazing how far she's gone off one catchphrase. You know? So good for her.
Yeah.
But this week she had a big YouTube scandal. Well, I shouldn't say YouTube scandal, it's a crypto scandal. Now, this completely goes back to what you and I talked about last week, which was these rug pulls are getting so out of control. I feel like these cryptos are just jokes now. Like there's literally no point to them.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the quick rundown. Now, CoffeeZilla, who is known for breaking these down on YouTube, has a fantastic video about him just asking questions during this because they did like an open forum to ask questions to the developers.
I'm listening. Oh, I found it. I knew I had a story about it somewhere. I just want to see it. Okay.
Hawk Tuah. So she does. So this company comes up with a Hawk Tuah token. It's like a Hawk token or whatever. It just like day of release, it just goes to like $100 million worth of coins, right? Mm-hmm. And then within 15 minutes, it got rugged, and the price went from like 100 million down to 50. And I mean, it was just a classic rug pull, 100%. But what was stupid was they did a rug pull. Or I'm sorry, they did the forum where they allowed the big YouTubers to come in and like ask questions.
Yeah.
And CoffeeZilla goes in there, and he just starts really asking the hard questions, and they're just falling apart. They're like, "You should be thanking us for making people who don't know what's going on money." And it's like he's just like, where does the money go? Because a lot of it goes to this foundation, and CoffeeZilla's just like, "Okay, who's the foundation? Where is the foundation?" And they just can't say it.
Yeah.
And then you know what makes matters? So they basically kick all the big YouTubers out that are asking questions because they couldn't take it anymore. The investor foundation is asking questions, and the Hawk Tuah girl mid-sentence just goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed now."
Oh my God!
It's such a shit show of a crypto. But This is exactly what we were saying last week about how these cryptos are stupid. It's you know what? I'm gonna take it. Ready? Here's my new conspiracy. I'm starting this one.
Okay.
I'm starting this conspiracy.
Drum
I think
roll.
the government is part of these foundations doing these rug pulls so that it gives them more of a reason for people to go, hey, we need to regulate crypto. That's my theory. Because there's no way that these rug pulls are going to be allowed to keep going.
All I know is the first line from Ben Q, who wrote an article about this. It might be time for the Hawk Tuah to talk to a lawyer.
Yeah, that's a good. It's true. See, I don't. But this is the problem from a law perspective, because of the lack of regulations in cryptocurrency. She's not doing anything illegal.
Well, I'm not sure yet, but you're right. I mean, you can't. It doesn't have to be necessarily security fraud. You could be fraudulent by offering something if there's nothing to back it up.
Right.
But I can't judge this yet. I don't know enough about it. I really don't.
You don't have to. It's a full rug pull. Like there's no people lost their money. Like they said the way the guy put it was, "Oh, you don't know." Like to the people that put the money in. Oh, you don't know what you're doing, so we knew what we're doing. You guys aren't smart, so we'll be smart for you. And then it just, okay, where'd the money go? Who are these investors that you can't name? Who's this foundation that you refuse to name? What I think happened truly was this foundation went to Hawk Tuah, the Hawk Tuah girl, Haley Welch, I think is her name.
Haley.
I believe it's pronounced Welch.
Mm-hmm.
Welch. They went to her. They said, we have this great idea. Now, she doesn't know enough about crypto, but they said, you can make money doing this. Right. And she goes, okay, we'll do it. And they gave her some explanation that sounded good on paper, and then they rugged it because she probably didn't know the foundation on it. She probably thinks everything's fine, which is why she's trying to answer these questions. She thinks people just made money. But my guess is, again, she's an influencer. They went to her, which has happened many times before with other YouTubers. One being I Show Speed with the Ronaldo-looking guy or whatever. It was like a Ronaldo lookalike. This isn't the first time.
Right.
That's what annoys me the most. If this was the first time, we'd be more surprised. But I'm not surprised.
Well, one thing, I mean, some of these people, it's really sad, some of these people, what they're writing. You know, they took out mortgages, second mortgages in their home to do these big
No, are you looking at I think that was a fake one. There was a guy that wrote that today, and I was like, please, I hope that's not true.
Maybe that's not true.
There was a guy, his name was...
bought $35,000 worth. It's now worth $2,000 after 10 minutes. Well, point being, one of the first things they always say is, you know, you don't buy something you don't understand, first of all, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stupid people, I don't care what the sure thing is. There's no such thing as a sure thing. And people who mortgage to such an extreme when they can't afford it, you know, on a unregulated security.
To my mom's point, if you thought you were going to make a lot of money off a coin called Hawk Tuah, you got to get it together. But then I would argue that that's predatory because they know that people are not the smartest or whatever. Oh, go Penn State, Tom. I guess Penn State's doing well. We should say also, sorry to cut you off. My brothers were supposed to do the podcast, but then they were like, hey, let's go to Indiana today to go see the Penn State game because my brothers are...
They're playing Oregon.
Yeah, they died... Yeah, where my uncle played on Oregon's team, was a captain many years ago.
Your uncle's going to be out there with their cousin, who was at Northwestern, who played at Northwestern.
Oh, I didn't realize that they're at the game, too.
Yeah, Trevor's going also. And... yeah, so this is a big game because Oregon's number 1. And I believe Penn State was favored to win, and Penn State's, I think, ranked 4th. But there's all this thing with placement for the playoffs and bowl games and whatnot. So if Penn State's in it no matter what, but if they lose the game, they have a home game. It's all big.
Stupid. But
football's crazy.
My brothers were like, we're going to do a 10-hour drive. Yeah. It's like, what? Okay, have fun. But as we were saying, with this token, the tokenomics, as they call it, never made any sense. Yeah. So it's just a complete and utter shit show. No one's going to get their money back. But the best is, so the guy that runs this foundation, Mom, foundation is Howie Mandel's son-in-law or something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
He's just a crazy
Okay.
person. He's like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
We're here to help you.
Yeah.
I think his exact words, I'm not even kidding, his exact words were like, you have to be mentally insane to be in crypto, which is why we're helping you. It's like insane.
I'll guide you because
Yeah,
you have
basically.
to be crazy to do this.
And CoffeeZilla, who's covered hundreds of these rug pulls in crypto, like his main channel is just like Logan Paul's Zoo Crypto. I forget what it was called, Crypto Zoo or whatever it was. Covered that, which was one of his biggest stories that blew him up. He probably did one. I know he did a bunch of other ones, but that was the big one. So he's seen these before.
Yeah.
So he was pissed because this one was so obvious. He didn't have to do any work.
Right.
It's almost like he was mad at how easy it was.
Yeah. I think these are getting a little bit. I mean, maybe it's a good thing this happened for a lot of other people to say, pump the brakes here for all these coins that come out.
Yeah.
There will be more celebrities, I guess, trying to push these things.
100%.
And they're going to make money and whatnot. So, yeah, I think I guess the SEC would have to get involved at some point if this keeps happening.
Right. That's what I mean. That's my conspiracy. They're doing it. They're doing it on purpose.
Yeah. I'm
to
not
regulate it.
That is the number one thing you learn. Any sort of investing. Never invest in something you don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's
but also my other problem with this is like, and maybe I don't know enough about the stock market, I guess, to know, right? Everything usually, unlike crypto, there's some kind of tangible market behind it, right? There's something physical. But Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies aren't there. Like, at least, I mean, our dollar was back to, I think it's silver and gold now, whereas...
not anymore, but...
What's it now? I don't even know what the standard is. But it's backed by something.
Yeah, well...
Right? When you invest in a company, you're investing in their product. But when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto...
Right, but people invest in currencies, and they manipulate currencies also.
Yeah, I guess that's true too.
But it is regulated. You can only manipulate it so much.
Right.
So at some point, Bitcoin, they're going to start... It might be to Bitcoin's advantage to
cryptocurrency.
I'm sorry, cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It might be to their advantage to be regulated, and there was just a man appointed who's going to run the AI and crypto for the next administration, because it will facilitate people have more confidence to invest in certain things.
Right, but the problem that I see with these cryptos is because there's nothing backing it. So here's an example, and I won't use names, but Kenny has a friend. Which, this isn't a bad one, but this just kind of goes to show you how stupid crypto is. He has like a car junkyard. He made this cryptocurrency that there's nothing backing it. He called it Dumb Coin or something like that. And it was just him on video cutting cars in half. He doesn't sell the cars. It's just cool to watch.
Right.
People pump the coin up to X amount of dollars, and then he just rug pulled it, and all these kids lost money.
Yeah.
It's like... How are you pumping something just by doing stupid things? Not that that's stupid.
Right.
We've definitely seen dumber things than cutting cars. Like, at least that one's no harm done, except for the rug pull aspect. But it's like, where's the morals to do a rug pull?
Yeah, it's bizarre to me how social media is becoming monetized in a way. People posting things can be monetized in the sense that it can be backed by a currency, and people can trade on what you're doing.
Well, you don't really need social media. Social media, you make money based on sponsors, based on ad
I'm not
revenue.
talking that aspect.
Yeah.
I'm saying he does stuff, posts about it,
Yeah.
right? And
They
there's
just
some cryptocurrency about it.
Yeah, but like...
So that's what he's monetizing.
See, when people of the older generation, no offense, but when people of the older generation go, what is crypto? I can tell you what it is, but then when I tell you how the price rises in some of these, it doesn't make sense.
Well, and
rightfully so. It shouldn't make sense.
Right, and to me right now, crypto is sort of I have limited understanding of it, but it's almost like its own little world. What's the good of it to me? I mean, it's $100,000. Okay, I can buy things with it, but I can only buy things in the crypto world.
Exactly. Once you take it out and you put it into a bank account, you get taxed on it.
But it's funny. I never hear of anybody taking it out. I only hear people holding it and dropping down to nothing.
People forget about this too. And this is where it bothers me with these crypto billionaires. When they first started, when they first went from Bitcoin going just to the moon back in like 2016 or whatever it was, people were like, I'm a billionaire. They would interview billionaires, and then they would go, well, how much of it's in your bank account? He's like, it's not in my bank account. It's all in crypto. It's like, okay, so you can't really buy anything until you find places that, like at that point, people weren't even accepting Bitcoins.
Right.
So
cryptocurrency,
it's just money in a wallet that is not tangible, except for the fact that you have the coins.
Right.
Until you transfer it over, there's no point.
Right, and you can say things like, oh, I'm a billionaire in the cryptocurrency world, but that's great, but what does that even mean? It's you can't, if you can't use it. And I know now there's more of a market where people do transactions in the crypto world.
Yeah.
And
well, here's the difference though. Bitcoin is completely different from other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin's fine. Like I think where the older generations they question, they go, is Bitcoin okay? Bitcoin's fine. Bitcoin I get. It's these shit coins where Kenny's friends are just making a coin, doing something stupid to pump it up, and then rug pulling it. And this happens every day to hundreds of coins. So
well, I think people are going to learn from this experience, and it's going to hurt those smaller groups
100%.
that are doing it, because why would I do that? It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
You're not getting any payout. I mean, where's the value? You're not getting any value out of it. So why are people doing it?
Yeah, because once that coin becomes valueless, then it's like, well, so this is the other thing that I don't really get, and this is the part of these meme tokens, that the shit coins, that I don't really get. They do this rug pull, and then you have to somehow get the money fast enough from that coin to the bank account. So there's some way of doing a quick sell in real time to get to your bank account. You can't hold on to those coins, which someone who was streaming did, and then they lost all their money. But like, so many people have to be in on it, which is why I would never trust a new coin that comes out. Because it's just every single time they just stop. This feels like the new NFT.
Oh, right.
Situation.
I remember that. That. What happened to those? Those just
they're like useless now. Yeah. It did make sense because people started trying to do. It started as art, right? Random generated art, which people were like, "Oh, this one's worth X amount." But then it became, "Hey, you can." You know that phrase, like let's take the McDonald's slogan, "Bada ba ba ba," whatever. I'm loving it. You can NFT that and keep it. It's like, wait, so what does that mean? So McDonald's can't say it ever again?
Oh,
it doesn't make sense. You coin something that just doesn't exist. I remember they were talking about coining or NFTing comedians' jokes. Like, what? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I think that this is right on that line. I just would not trust any YouTuber saying, "Oh, I've come up with this coin with another foundation." With a foundation.
Yeah, I don't even understand where they're getting the backing from. I don't understand any of this. So you're right. I mean, this is becoming a game, and it's really amazing to me that this is going massive crypto. They dip this in the bud in the stock industry. You can't do this stuff in it.
Yeah, in any other industry you can't do it, which is why it's going to get regulated.
Scam. Yeah, regulated, or they have to start looking at these things and say, you know what, people are losing a fortune. Granted, they're stupid, and it's their they have to be responsible for it. But you know, and by the way, we've had stock runs in the 20s and the 30s, so it's happened with stock, legitimate companies that have pulled the rug out under their stockholders and done things, and then you get regulations that come in to make sure it doesn't happen again, right? With the stock industry. So
it's just it's just stupid. Because worst comes to worst, Hawk Tuah might end up like the new United Healthcare CEO.
Oh God! Don't even.
We didn't even talk about this.
Yeah.
So the United Healthcare CEO, for those of you that don't know, which again, this is another story you have to be living under a rock to not even know about. But in not even the middle of the night, the CEO of United Healthcare, who I actually have a friend that you met the other day, whose father was friends with that guy, used to work with him. So he was unfortunately just literally assassinated.
Yep.
So
coming out of a meeting in New York City, shot in the chest.
One day he didn't have his bodyguards because he felt he didn't need them.
Oh, I didn't even hear that part. You know more about this story than I do.
The guy had bullet casings that was like deplore, deny, something about their motto in insurance. Like, when was the last time we saw a CEO assassinated? Doesn't happen very often.
No, but people are mad, boy. Yeah, he's the suspect identified in the assassination.
Yeah, they think they found him, but the problem is the guy was okay. I'm telling you, that guy was a professional. Anyone who says that that was just some random guy on the street with a beef, that had to be. The guy had a suppressor on a pistol. Who the hell has a suppressor on a pistol and knows how to get rid of evidence, right? He purposely leaves a phone there that they think have his fingerprints, but they're linked to nothing.
Well, but it's interesting. We're getting pretty clear looks of his face. So I'm saying professional, unless they're sending us the wrong picture.
Unless he's got one of those face masks.
Well, you can't trust the media either anymore. But, yeah, I mean, this is a pretty clear picture of the guy's face in one of these shots, if it's actually him. So I don't know. As a professional, that's stupid that they would expose their face in the gear that they used to assassinate somebody. Oh, and then they found a backpack in Central Park.
Yeah.
He tossed it in the park, or it could be related. I don't know.
Well, maybe he's hiding. Maybe it's fake evidence.
Well, that too, or maybe it's the media. You can't trust the media, Depends on the source.
Apparently there's a documentary out right now about a killing that happened, I'm going to say in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, where basically it talks about how media needed a story.
Yeah.
So they basically faked evidence or put fake evidence in to make it seem way more credible than it was, and then the wrong person got arrested. The father got arrested when it wasn't the father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope they're suing for defamation.
Oh,
obviously,
absolutely.
But the father did many years in jail for.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Some of these stories that you hear, and you turn out it's the media that, or malicious prosecutors.
Oh well, what about
evidence?
The OJ case. Right, we just had evidence
right.
of the
just
OJ case,
that,
where they think that there's new information out there, which in reality there's really not. But question is, did OJ do it? Did the son do it? We'll never know.
Right.
I mean, I think OJ did it, but
they're still going on about the John Benet Ramsey case, the little girl that was murdered in her home a long time ago. They looked at the mother, they looked at the father, they looked at the brother.
I think that's the.
Oh, is that the same one?
That's the same one that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. About how they just screwed that up really bad.
Oh, it was a mess from beginning to end, and they've done countless stories about it. And now recently, the mother has since died.
Yep, that's the story.
The brother died, but the he's hung on tight to, because his whole family's names were dragged through the mud.
Yeah, and he was the one that got wrongly convicted, or they said it was
did
him.
he go to? I don't know. Did he?
I don't remember. I don't know the full story. But they had a
detective
detective that was like, no, it's not. Like, he's known as like one of the greatest detectives to ever live. He's like, no, it's not the father. It doesn't make sense. And they didn't like the answer. So they brought in another detective. And then the guy's like, yeah, it was the father. Yeah. Years later, they're like, oh, I was wrong. You can't have that.
Yeah.
All right. What do we want to move on to now? Speaking of legal cases. Oh, today's a day of transitions. Daniel Penny, manslaughter charge dismissed. Legal debate over lesser charge jury to return Monday. So for those of you that don't remember, because I don't know if we actually talked about this on the podcast, or if we've just been talking about it over dinner. Maybe we hinted at it, but Daniel Penny was the guy in New York City, I think it was during COVID, where there was a guy who was being a real problem on the train, and the guy ended up... Daniel Penny felt that it was appropriate that he had to choke him out, basically.
He was threatening people on the train, and they were all feeling a little nervous, so he, to calm the guy down, put him in one of those submission chokeholds. And
the guy apparently ended up dying later from asphyxiation, but we found out recently via police cams that the guy didn't die till after that. So he actually didn't die from the asphyxiation. He died from what seems like a drug overdose, but we're not sure yet.
Right, and even the police officers didn't want to do mouth-to-mouth because of all his supposed drugs and whatnot that they thought were in the system and possible illnesses. So now he's on trial for this, Penny, who's an ex-Marine, and they could not come to a conclusion on the manslaughter charge, the jury. They were sent back to deliberate again, and the judge said, okay, they want to throw that one out, and they want to look at lesser charges. But the prosecutors are saying the judge can't do that. They have to make a unanimous decision one way or the other before they go down to the lesser charge. They'll have to find out.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So this weekend, the judge had to look at the case and had to come up with, is he able to say, look at lesser charges since you're hung on the manslaughter charge? So that's where they're at. I think the lesser charge is a 4-year sentence, the negligent homicide, blah blah blah. But I don't know. Meanwhile, Representative Eli Crane wants to introduce a resolution to award Daniel Penny with the Congressional Gold Medal for what he did.
Okay, well, I don't know about that.
Right.
Now we're going the opposite extreme.
We're going two different ways here, but I think he's trying to make a point. The guy's a hero. He should not be vilified for what he did.
Yeah. Again, hero. He's probably a hero now for going through all this shit and staying strong, but in the moment, I mean...
See, it's hard for people, and somebody brought up a good point. This jury that's looking at his case, and I don't know the voir dire that they did with the jury, but have they ridden on a subway? Have they ridden on a subway recently?
I was just about to say that.
What subway lines do they take? Are they real New Yorkers? Because if you're somebody who never takes a subway, you have no idea what it's like when you're locked in a box with a crazy person. Been there, done that.
So when we went to New York City last weekend, you know, there is no space on a subway, like in the sense of anything can happen. And
Right.
I'm one of those people in public where I always have my eye on something. Like I'm always looking around to make sure.
That's how you have to be, especially in the city.
Especially in the city.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who's very, I don't know if anxious is in the city, but I'm always like hyper aware of what's going on around me in the city. So I'm looking around and I'm like, man, these people are very close to pockets, very close to this and that. There's crazy. I'm surprised we didn't see more crazy people, but we definitely saw some crazies.
Right, and a lot of it has time of day. Used to be certain lines, but nowadays in New York City, I'd say in the last few years, it could be any line, any time of the day.
Yeah.
No socioeconomic difference, and these individuals come on with knives, screwdrivers, broken pipes.
Yeah, there's no checking, right?
There's
when you
no
go
checking.
on, we were specifically on the path from.
Yeah, the path is not too bad, but yeah.
It's not too bad, but I mean, it's like tuna can
Yeah.
in there. You don't know what people have.
Right, and for the average person who thinks, oh, that looks lovely, you watch it on a movie and you're like, oh, that's not so bad. It's very different in real life nowadays.
Yeah.
And then you just throw one crazy person in that situation.
And there's nowhere to go in between
Right,
those
you're in
stops.
a state, you're stuck in a car with the door shut. It's just you and whoever's around you. And it only takes one person. And they could really do serious damage in that train and not care if they're crazy.
Yeah, and it's not like these stops are quick either. Like some of them are decent lengths. Like you could be on there for 10 minutes before you get to the next stop.
Usually it's pretty quick, but oftentimes they get stalled in between. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's no.
It didn't feel
there
quick.
is an emergency cord somewhere, but it's a very odd feeling because when somebody is, and maybe they're just crazy, they don't mean harm, but you don't know that. In my day, usually you just ignore the crazy person, put your headset on, and they walk away.
Right.
With all the crime and the trouble in the city that they've been having, you really have to think twice. If they say they're going to do something, there's a real chance they're going to do something. And apparently this individual was threatening people on this train. Women with children, tourists, and this individual. Somebody had to do something. Fortunately, somebody did. Because, as much as he's in trouble now for what he did, we don't know. That man could have killed 3 people on that train. Thank God he did what he did.
Right.
We don't know.
The original case, if I remember, was the guy was like, I'm going to kill everyone on here. He wasn't doing anything. He was just yelling.
Right.
But it's like, are you willing to take the chance? You don't, to your point, you know what the guy has. You don't know what it is. Like, let's put it this way. If someone was on a plane yelling, Allah Akbar,
right.
Maybe they're genuinely praying to God, but you want to take that risk.
Right, but also, and I don't know if this was admissible in the trial. I hope it was, but I haven't followed it that closely. Nobody on that chain knows this man has a record. He had
the guy had one.
Drugs, assault, and everything. You don't know that when you're sitting in there and some person.
And now BLM wants to get a riot together. Did you see that for the guy being?
Well, the outrageous part, which I understand, we went through this with George Floyd. We went through this with other people. The outrageous part is the family is suing this individual for what
Good luck.
he did. Civil court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck.
Okay. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me when someone. Now, I'm not saying anybody deserves to die, even a crazy person, but if it's him or me, I'm going to try and make sure it's me and not him. And for these individuals,
how dare you value your life over another person's? I love that argument.
Right.
Is their life worth the stuff in your house? It's like, no, you come to my house, you're getting fucking blasted.
Well, and also, and this, I don't know. I don't understand. It's all about money. It's obviously all about money.
Oh, yeah.
Because how much do they really care about this quote-unquote family member who's on drugs or has drug convictions and drugs in his system, who as assault charges, it's obviously not a close-knit family.
Yeah.
So
The
now
guy
all
they
of a
couldn't
sudden
help.
there's right. All right, they couldn't help him. And if that's the case,
Now you want to capitalize off of his death.
But yeah, if I can't help somebody and you knew they have problems, you don't go out there and demand money. Yeah, you can in this day and age, and everybody's doing it. But to me, that's really amoral. You know, when you know this person's background, and they knew his background more so than any of the people on that train, because they must know their close family member, that he's got a record, that he's got other issues, and I'm sure it isn't the first time he's done this. So that's the part that doubly outrageous is when the family comes out and says, I'm owed money because somebody killed my relative who was threatening people on a train. That's really something to be proud of, you know?
Oh, they're all idiots, Mom. And how do we prevent idiots? We find 10 habits to prevent brain rot.
Oh, we're going to do that
Mom, well, I'm on a roll today.
I got to pull that one up.
10 habits to prevent brain rot and create a smart brain in 2025.
I mean, some of them were pretty self-evident, and they're, you know, you got to eat well. Sugar's very bad. We were talking about that earlier, right?
Yeah. And, well, okay, let me rephrase that. So, I told you at dinner, sugar's not great for you. It's not necessarily bad because it's just a carbohydrate. Your body does need certain carbohydrates because salt and sugar are just carbohydrates. They're the same thing. The body breaks them down the same way.
Yeah.
So, the brain craves salt in the end. So, sugar does the same thing, but just not great.
Right.
It'll do it, but it's not great.
There's some things that are out of your control, though. So psychological safety. Obviously, if you're fearful, your brain's not functioning. If you're stressed and you're fearful, you're not functioning at a top level, right? Yeah. So if you have
number one is psychological safety.
Yeah. In other words, if you have fear, you know, you're not going to perform well. If you live in a work culture where fear and uncertainty have undermined your well-being, your brain's not going to function at its best level.
Right.
We talked about the food stuff, mood boosting. Blood flow. You can't be sitting all day, right? That's not good for the brain. It's not good for dementia. You need some aerobics. You got to get moving. Ample sleep. Sleep is very important.
Ample sleep, though, is a little different. What is ample to me would mean more than you need, right? Because I don't think because there is oversleeping.
Yeah, they're saying lack of sleep causes slower brain activity, cloudy thinking, and forgetfulness.
And then you also have to remember some people's body. First off, your body will adapt. There's really the body's designed to adapt, but also like some people can go off 5 hours, some people can go off 7 hours.
But they are finding that the brain does a cleanup at night.
Yeah.
And it's literally certain cells get cleaned away, and it's at certain times.
Yeah.
I don't think they know enough yet of when that happens.
So what's funny you say that is we were talking about this the other day. We actually don't know why the body needs sleep. Like we can feel it. Like we know we need sleep.
Yeah.
But scientifically, we actually don't know exactly why we sleep. We get the point of it, but they don't know the process. They don't know what causes it. It's just like a natural.
Why the body shuts down naturally.
Everyone shuts down at night.
Right.
It's very
well,
very
yeah, and I think
which is why we came from Mars, and that's a fact.
Right, and as they're studying these things, I think that's part of it. They're finding that the brain does clean. It does it at certain times. It's very important, like for Alzheimer's and dementia, that it happens. Mm-hmm. Those people do not have that happening, and that's part of the problem. They get to build up the plaque or whatever. Mm-hmm. But to your point, I think they're still trying to figure out each individual. It might happen at different times. It might be different REM time. You know, like we each have a REM time. So that's. But we do know there's positives to sleep. Also, bodies heal when they sleep.
Yeah.
Which is
in overdrive. Yeah. The body does something crazy, and we don't know what it is.
Well, they'll put you in a coma if they need something to heal. Like they'll a coma-induced healing process if your body's really bad and they want the brain to.
So then I wonder, how many years? This is, I'm a future thinker. How many more years till we solve that? Do you put in a medication so that you don't have to sleep anymore because your body's constantly doing the healing process? You know what I'm saying?
But I'll tell you.
I like sleep.
I know, me too. It's my favorite time of the day. It's the best part of my day. Getting up and going to sleep. I just love it's just such a calming, relaxing process. And I feel bad for people who struggle to sleep, who have insomnia and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm not very lucky. And that was my big concern when I was watching Grandma here, because my mother was here. She was getting up many times in the night. my concern wasn't that. I didn't mind that, but I'm like, oh man, am I now going to be somebody who can't sleep through the night anymore? Because I'm getting older too. And fortunately, that didn't happen. But that was always in the back of my mind, because as you get older, you tend not to have a good night's sleep. I sleep like I'm dead. I do.
And oh man, Mom snores and shakes the house.
I know. I sleep like I am dead. Anybody could come in and steal everything, and I wouldn't know till I wake up in the morning. If it wasn't for my dog. Broad perspective allows your brain to build on the positive aspects of your career and see future possibilities. So in other words, instead of like a lens where you zoom in on the nitty gritty, step back and look at the big picture. That's very good for brain rot. Mindfulness, which we've talked about that. I thought this was interesting. Reduces the cortisol levels by 25%. Just by, calming down, getting excesses like immersive gaming, internet surfing or streaming, television, getting your mind off of that helps you, and helps the brain attune a little bit to yourself and your surroundings. Accept without judgment whatever you're aware of that arises in each moment. Interesting. 7, brain fitness and novelty. Exposure to new experiences, right?
Yeah, challenges like puzzles, reading, and learning.
Yeah, we know that's good cognitive stuff, but different things I think it's good too. Outdoors is supposed to be great for you. Your brain loves spending a minimum of 2 hours a week in parks, woodlands, or beaches. People who spend 120 minutes per week in nature have better health and higher psychological well-being. So there is something to said to being outdoors. Order, not chaos, of course, right? The brain responds better when things are organized, or you can...
That's what you're forcing your brain to... Yeah, so organization, I mean, we've known that for a while, but this one's one that I think I'm definitely not good at, which is the multitasking.
Yep.
Multitasking, like, the body's not really good at multitasking in general. Like, the more you spread yourself out, you can't multitask. So, have you ever seen...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, they did a study a while ago. It was kind of like a joke study, but they had a guy come on that was like, oh yeah, I could definitely multitask. And basically they had him drive, take a phone call, and do email at the same time.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't do it. Like,
right.
He's a good driver. He's good at email. He's good at talking.
Right.
But when you do all three at once, the bandwidth just doesn't work.
Yeah, there's an old expression, no man can serve two masters.
Yeah.
So you can only focus on one thing at a time. Now, I think there's a gender, and I'm generalizing, but there is a gender difference. Just based on what genders are supposed to do. And I know that sounds backwards, but women tend to do more multitasking than men.
Right.
Because women naturally, and this comes out weird, but as the female, the child, the homemaker, that's the traditional female role in the clan, if you will, of the tribe.
Uh-huh.
She had to do small, not challenging tasks, but the small tasks, and many of them to get through the day. The male, however, had to do one thing and feed everybody. They had to do one thing and house
I guess
everything.
that makes sense.
So, to my mind, I find most men, and now we're finding that multitasking isn't that great anyhow.
Yeah.
But you can't necessarily survive anymore by just doing one thing either, because we live in a more complex society. So now it seems like both things are meshing together, like what the genders are both good at are becoming the same. There's never been anything good about multitasking. Like 10, 20 years ago, it was like, oh, she's a great multitasker. Like everybody, that was the buzzword. I can multitask. That was great. I can do 10 things at once. Maybe you can.
But not well. And it probably ends up taking longer than if you just sat down to the thing.
Right, and you can't give 100% to 10 things, right? You have to divide your attention. So makes sense that that's not the best thing for your brain. Social support. Okay, being empathetic, coworker, someone in HR, people volunteer, they attend classes, get together with friends. We're social animals. We're supposed to be, and the internet stuff is working against us socially, because people are not physically socializing or not connecting outside of a platform as much as they used to. So, final wrap is we all know the best things that we should do for the brain, and we're moving in the opposite direction.
Yeah, but you know who doesn't need a social life?
Who?
Barron Trump disappoints
Barron?
NYU girls with
Whoa.
devotion to first love.
Good one.
So, I always forget that he's in college now. Becomes an online sensation because of his popularity, and they were like, "Hey, you got a girlfriend?" He goes, "Nah, I play video games. He's one of us."
Yep. Yeah.
One of us. One of us. I don't know why we brought this up. It was a good transition,
Just
though.
put it in there, yeah. But I thought it was kind of a neat story because disappoints the girls. You know, how's he gonna go out and hang? He's got. Normally, there's 3
Yeah,
Secret
let's
Service
first
agents.
off,
He's gotta have 5
wherever
to
he
his father.
goes, the concept that they think he's gonna live any form of a normal life in college
Right.
isn't a thing. Let's be honest, the kid probably doesn't even have to go to college, but knowing Trump, he's gonna make his kid go. So,
Well, I mean, he deserves to go if he's got
If he
the
wants
money
to,
and
yeah.
he wants to get an education. I don't know why he picked NYU, but that was his decision. But you know, he, in general, he didn't have a quote unquote normal
life.
upbringing.
Yeah, that's
I mean, he went to elite
and then
schools.
add
Right.
being the son of the youngest son of the president,
That and even
and
that was
being
later on in life.
7'4".
Yeah, 6'9".
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
But you know, and that sounds like that's his personality. And he does have siblings, but technically he's an only child, right? Because he doesn't have any siblings with this mother and father. But you know, I just think it was kind of interesting that he doesn't even have much of a class life. Like his classmates were saying, he doesn't really interact. He sits in the back of the class. He gets in his limo because he's got, or his car, the SUV.
Right, Secret Service.
Secret
too.
Service
like,
all over him.
Like the idea, like he probably seems spoiled, I guess, to most people. But you have to understand, like, it's not that he's spoiled, which maybe he is, but it's not that he's spoiled. It's just like his life is not anywhere near ours. Not from a financial standpoint, but from the perspective of it's a kid who's going to have Secret Service 24/7 because his father's had 2 assassination attempts on him.
Yeah.
Family has been destroyed in the sense of, well, I shouldn't say destroyed, but his family's been targeted
Yep.
media-wise.
Yep.
Court cases, whatever. If I were him, I'm almost proud of him for picking a college and deciding to go to college. Because I feel bad for him.
Yeah,
You know?
it's a tough city to be in, and sounds like he's doing well.
Yeah.
But you know, it's unfortunate. He would have had a somewhat different life no matter what, just because his father's
right.
the family's has always been the
But
limelight.
now think of this: with all the teachers nowadays that are incredibly left-leaning, his teachers probably despise him. How hard is that?
Yeah.
Right? When I was in school, when he ran the first time, teachers hated him. I had a teacher that said, "Don't come to my class if you like Trump." I was like, that's wild to say.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what kind of shit that kid's going through.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm sure, you know, they're watching it very carefully because it's not fair to him to
I'm curious. Sorry.
That's okay. No.
I'm curious if he can sit in a classroom and Secret Service has to be there or not.
I don't know if they said that or if they wait outside. I'm not sure.
That's still...
If you have to have somebody there in the classroom. I mean, obviously the first time.
I also have to assume... You know what's also annoying?
People.
Yeah, you know what's also annoying? If they're standing outside the room, they have to check everyone that comes in.
Right? So,
Teachers.
yeah. And for those of you who know New York City, NYU is kind of an open campus.
Yeah.
And anybody can walk. You can't just walk into any building, and probably in today's day and age, you probably have to have an idea or whatever. But if you're in a class like a 200-person lecture hall, and I don't know what his classes are, and it was my kid in there, absolutely I want Secret Service in there because anybody can walk in for that class that day and pull out a gun. And nobody knows this person.
I always went with Secret Service. Are you even allowed a pencil in there in the sense of, technically you could kill someone with a pencil and still could be used as a weapon.
I don't know. I'm sure they do some amount of screening that they can in these classes. They might discourage him from being in a large class, like a large crowd. I don't know his schedule.
That's a good point.
But I think, you know, they may have to carve out some smaller classes or whatnot. It's just, it was going to be difficult anywhere he went. I just think a remote college somewhere outside of a major libtard city might have been a safer choice. But it is their home. You know, he grew up in New York. It's his hometown. So if he wanted to go there. Anyhow, it's just nice to see that, you know, he asked people for their Discord. What is it called? Their Discord
really?
game? Yeah, because he likes to play with people.
Oh, my dude. Hit me
Yeah.
up, Barron. We'll play something. I think he plays Siege.
He's been asking NYU students for their Discord usernames and gamer tags to play together online.
Oh.
His game of choice is FIFA.
Never
I think he did Clash of Clans.
Get the hell out of here, Barron. FIFA. Unbelievable.
Well, I think he was a soccer player when he was a kid, right? When he was younger, but
I thought you were cool, Barron.
in high school he was into soccer and Clash of Clans. But who knows? You know, people make this.
He's
stuff
like
up.
Alan Kinsey, Clash of Clans and FIFA. That's all Alan plays. Sorry, Alan.
That's what you think of when you think Donald Trump, Alan.
You know who else plays video? Yeah.
Who?
You know who else plays video games? Elon Musk.
Oh,
who just did something that we talked about last week, which we were really wondering. So, Financial Times, I have to pay for it, but the article is Elon Musk plans to expand Colossus AI supercomputer tenfold. This is a big deal, mother. Huge deal. So we talked about this a little bit last week with how much power these AIs are using.
Yes.
So Elon Musk just bought, I believe, and I can't see the article. Someone's gonna have to fact check me on this one. I could look it up, but I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, you can send it to me. I don't know.
So he wants to buy a million Blackwell GPUs, which are NVIDIA's newest high-end graphics cards.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to figure out what the power consumption is on that. I think we're getting close. Mom, we're like.
No, say more. This is to power AI.
His AI.
His AI, yeah.
The new AI thing that he's working on. I don't think it's Grok. I think it's like its own supercomputer, completely subset from Twitter and whatever. This is just an artificial intelligence.
Okay.
I think the power consumption on that, I think we nailed it last week. We are going to get to the point where it's, you can't live in this city because you are draining the power.
A whole
grid.
city is just going to be wiped. A whole zip code is just going to be gone one day.
I was trying to do the math on this.
Oh,
so one Blackwell chip, so one graphics card. So my computer that's right behind me, the 4070, I believe that's a 500 watt card. So it would take 550 watts to run that thing at maximum.
Correction, that's my computer. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. The one you've never touched.
I've turned it on once.
So I'm going to assume that the Blackwell chips are going to be more. Let's say it's like 600 watts per graphics card. Times that by 1 million, you have 600 million watts of power, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm no electrician and don't know how the math works on that one, but I don't know how many houses that is, how much that power is, but yeah, where's the power going to come from? So they're thinking of doing nuclear, which makes sense, but then we have to deal with the regulations of nuclear.
I want to see a picture of Elon with a map in front of him and a blindfold on it. He just throws a dart. Boom. All right, goodbye, Butte, Montana.
Yeah, good, later. I mean, you have to pick a place where there's like no people to be affected. It's going to be the smallest power grid. It's going to be Tesla and Earl down the street. Old Earl, who's been on his farm that uses 1 kilowatt. I don't even know. But,
I'm telling you, we're just going to have a whole zip code just go right away. No one's even going to know.
Yeah, or you have to get into nuclear. They're gonna do the nuclear. They have to at this point.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the race for what's gonna happen, for the race for who's gonna get AI first, and I do think that with Trump in power, you're gonna see the regulations for nuclear just
in office. Power.
Yeah, good point. In office, when Trump's in office, I think you're gonna see a lot of stuff get pushed in nuclear very, very quickly for this AI stuff.
Well, it is clean energy. You just got to worry about it if it, leaks, breaks, core. Some country over in Europe, shouldn't laugh, have found a way they're going to seal their nuclear waste in a tunnel for 100,000 years.
I've heard of this process before.
If it's true.
If it is true, cool. But
safe.
like, if you have that leak after 100,000 years or whatever it is, what happens?
Yeah. Well, that's the arrogance of people today. What do I care? I won't be around. Right?
Exactly.
That's the disgusting part of it. But
you're gonna have a Fallout, like the Fallout New Vegas show. Remember the show we watched where everyone's in the vaults? We watched like the first episode or two, and then we gave up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna be down to.
One.
Where it's just a barren wasteland because everything got nuked.
Nothing up above.
Yeah.
But the good thing is AI won't replace humans.
Yeah.
Here's the reasons why. The surprising reasons why. I actually agree with some of these, and you know me, I'm always like, you gotta watch that AI, and I do. Oh, I thought I sent it to you.
Tell me.
Well,
Demon.
uh, while AI can process vast amounts of data and identify patterns, it lacks the nuanced understanding that comes naturally to humans. You can't read between the lines. You can't understand context. You can't make an intuitive leap based on limited information. That's a weakness that AI has that humans can do.
Right now.
The emotional intelligence, AI can analyze sentiment, facial expressions, and blah blah blah. But the humans need to be able to use the emotional intelligence that drives us to make a lot of decisions, not just the facts, right? So
yeah, AI can't come up as of right now. AI cannot come up with an answer that it hasn't already been told. Like it can't infer something.
Right. So whether you're negotiating a complex deal or managing a team through a crisis, developing products that resonate with consumers on a deeper level, human emotional intelligence remains irreplaceable. Which there's some truth to that because like managing a team. I can put data into an AI and say, right now you got to manage teams. They may have a million scenarios, but there could be infinite scenarios of a problem with a team, right? And some of it you can't in real time plug into AI for them to spit out an answer, but yet a human being will have the emotional ability to work with whatever that issue is. We don't have to be programmed. Doesn't mean we'll have the right answer, but we don't have to be programmed to come up with the wrong answer either.
Right. Yeah. We will get there. The question is how much time is it going to take and how much data is it going to take? So one thing I learned recently, because I was talking to someone who was deep into AI, I asked them, have you ever heard of the term prompting an AI? I'm sure you have.
Prompting, I know what that means.
So you basically specific answers, specific questions.
Yeah.
So you have to ask it. So you can't say like, give me a paper on George Washington, because it'll just come up with everything. You have to be more specific. Give me a paper about George Washington when he was 22 and what his life was like. Mm-hmm. And the question is like, why do you have to do that? And the answer is not because it's easier for it to come up with the information. It's because the companies want the data to keep it so that they can throw it back into the algorithm, so that if someone asks that question again,
right,
it gives you a better answer. So the more prompting we do now, mm-hmm. in our time, mm-hmm. the better the AI is going to be later on. Because you won't have to prompt anymore. It'll just know it'll guess what you're looking for.
Right.
Or actually the opposite. You can just ask it questions and it'll know the answer.
Right.
Because of that, it's only as good as the information as we throw into it. That's really what AI comes down to.
And that's kind of the point, that humans can think in real time. Doesn't mean we know everything, but we know we don't know something.
You can also
AI doesn't know that it doesn't know something. Yeah,
exactly. So you can also limit the data. So for instance, this person was working on a banking thing, making the first bank AI, and you have to change it so that you can't ask it what is the age of the CEO. So you limit its information. And it's like, why do you want to do that? But then you have to make it so that when that CEO uses the AI doesn't keep his information. Right. Otherwise, it'll figure out eventually how old that person is based on dates, based on whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's where you get into that tricky situation of who's controlling what's right, what's wrong, and what exists.
Right. Well, I mean, this article really isn't about AI taking over. He's trying to say that the best outcome is, well, let me finish with the other ones. Creating the impossible. AI can generate variations based on existing patterns. It cannot conceive truly novel ideas or understand their deeper significance. So innovation requires not just creativity, but also understanding human needs, desires, and the subtle nuances of society. Which, that's an interesting point too. It's very difficult to program into something subtleties.
Yeah.
To see the degrees of things. Yeah, you can, but AI looking at a child crying. I see tears, I see crying, I process all the information with it. Okay, so the child's crying. do you understand why? Like AI can ask,
Yeah.
why are you crying? And the kid could say, I'm not crying, I'm fine. Well, that doesn't make sense to AI. To a human being, that makes sense. They're hiding something or they're upset and they don't want to admit it. Yeah, eventually you can program AI for that kind of nuance, but there's certain things that AI can't do.
Man, it's tough because I always just look at like, right, we were never going to have smartphones, and then we had smartphones. We were never supposed to have everyone having a car, and now all of a sudden we have cars.
Right,
So
no, it's progress going to happen.
Yeah, that's why I do feel like we are going to get there eventually.
But I mean, smartphones is a cutesy term. They're not smart.
Yeah.
They just can do more, right? And more inherent stuff.
Yeah.
Consider the complexity of ethical decision making. So AI can provide data-driven insights. It cannot weigh moral implications or make value-based judgments.
See, I still feel like this person's talking in the now, not in the future. I do think it is going to get to that point. But then the question is, what exactly is a moral decision? A moral decision is a right or wrong answer. I think it will be able to come up with that eventually.
Maybe. So he says the real transformation happening isn't about replacement, it's about elevation. AI takes over the routine. So he's looking at it like the best symbiosis of the two things is where AI is like your really, really smart assistant.
Yeah.
Your really, really intelligent helper that can give you the data and the facts, right? They can do the routine repetitive tasks. So humans are free to focus on higher value activities that require uniquely human capabilities. The only problem I have with it, and this is where I start to deviate with him a little bit, is he's assuming that humans will continue to grow cognitively and critically thinking. My concern is humans will allow AI to replace that in them.
No, I think I'm actually going to agree with him on that because I think you're still going to have people that desire the knowledge, right? To keep propelling forward. To your point, I think you're going to have less people care, but you're going to have a knowledge gap. You're going to have a bigger knowledge gap.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And it's almost become like elitist, where I'm really smart and I control my AI. You're stupid and your AI controls you. Or stupid's not the right word. You're mentally lazy. Like you were never trained to think critically. As we can see, our school systems are crap. And they're getting worse because nobody is addressing thinking. They're addressing societal things. They're addressing, race and gender and all this other stuff that has nothing to do with just thinking, critical thinking and education.
Just wait. I'm still waiting for the first robot versus human fight when they say, hey, this robot's going to take your job. This motherfucker going to take my job.
Well, it's happening already online.
But I mean like an actual robot that's like, hey, we don't need you on the line anymore.
No, that's happening now.
Yeah.
That's happening now. They can build cars without humans. There was a recent group that wanted to go on strike. Was it the ones on the waterfront? I forget which one. Where the people were like, go ahead. We'll just replace you. We don't have to pay sick leave. We don't have to pay benefits. We don't have to do health care.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the biggest wake-up call right now in the present is how many jobs can easily be taken over just by a robot right now. Like some level of AI. You know that there's some McDonald's, I forget where it is, but it has no workers. It just has some guy that comes, brings the patties, the food, everything that's in cold storage or whatever, puts it in, and the AI does all that. They don't have to. Maybe there's a worker or two there that just monitors it.
Well, no, we're saying AI. Robotics is really what takes it over.
Yeah, robotics run by AI.
Or I don't know. I don't know if it's gotten to that point where you need AI to put a screw in a tire 5 million times in a day. That's kind of a different mentality. AI can take it even further.
I see what you're saying.
It's that's just a repetitive computer program.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Good point.
AI is a different animal altogether, where they can do like legal briefs. Yeah. That requires a little bit more pulling from different areas. It's not a repetitive motion. However, you could talk to some law clerks who say a lot of these legal briefs are repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. Yeah. If it deviates once in a while, that's where the human aspect comes in, right? What the human thinking comes in. Yeah. If AI eventually can do that too. He says the future workplace won't be dominated by AI or humans alone. It will be shaped by those who master the art of combining both. I don't know that that's true.
Cyborg.
Well, it's intelligence augmented, guided by human wisdom. I think that's a great thing to say, and I think that's what we all want. But you're assuming, like I said, that all humans will keep progressing mentally. And it's a nice thought to say, well, if we're able to have this AI, and we live in a society where we have AI, of course people are going to be so much more intelligent because they're living in a.
Right.
I think you're making that assumption, and we can't make that jump anymore. And it's almost like I say, the more AI there is, the sharper we have to be as humans, so that we don't get dominated. Or if me personally, I want to be one of those elite people that manage the AI. I don't want to be the cognitively challenged person where the AI manages me.
Right.
That's the other thing I would say. And that's my concern in the future for people. So,
Yeah.
but he brought up some good points about.
Yeah, I don't think he's wrong. I think he's definitely on the right track. It's just he just doesn't know what the I think he's talking in more definitive, like this is how it's going to be or this is not how it's going to be. When in reality, you're going to have some over here and some over here.
Right. Well, and I think human beings are very unique. I don't think you can replicate a human being. You can't. I mean, you can do AI. It can be smarter than people. It can be faster than people. It can do all these things. But there is something unique to the human spirit, the human person. Having said that, I think humanity is giving up on itself.
Yeah. I'm more concerned, and I don't know if concerned is the right word, but I'm more interested in how many more years it's going to take to download your subconscious. Because then you use an AI that would be, oh, I'm here for the holidays many, many generations later. Oh. Right? Mm-hmm. It's not the person, but it's all their memories and stuff put in. The spirit's not there anymore, but the AI can come up with the answers for what it is. I remember, I think Will Smith got Jada Smith, like a thing of her dad that was an AI-driven thing that was like a hologram.
Yeah.
So that I could be off on who it was, but I just remember that story of it's like an AI that's pre-programmed to, hey, long time no see, even though he's been long dead.
It's that's weird. Creepy.
Oh, I think it was Kim Kardashian.
That's creepy.
Actually.
Yeah.
Kim with, I think Kanye did that for Kim with the dad.
Yeah. I have not heard of that, but, I don't want people taking my consciousness and downloading it. That's a little bit bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I still believe in a higher being, and I just don't believe that you can. Yes.
Well, the spirit goes somewhere. It's not like you're staying on Earth. It's just the data that the mind leaves over or still has.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I mean, I think that's, like I said, I think the mind can always grow, and just because, okay, so what if you lost a 10-year-old child?
Yeah.
Okay, I can visit with that child every day. I'm never going to know the whole child, the whole person, because they stopped.
Well, yeah, now we're getting philosophical here,
right.
But yeah,
so
I'm just wondering if it's like how far we are to that, which.
Or you could just do a video of somebody with a cell phone.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough data.
So what are you giving me with that? Like their personality, their everything? Then you download a subconscious or what they.
Well, when you download a subconscious, you're probably downloading the person, just not the body, or the actual person. You're downloading literally just the data of who they were, and how they reacted and their responses and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound appealing to me. I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't think it sounds appealing to me either, because deep down inside, even though they seem and act like the person that you remember, it's still not them. It's a substitute.
Well, right, and here's the thing too. If you when you download their subconscious. So my grandmother was very different mentally at 70 than she was at 80 and
That's
at 90.
That's a good point, yeah.
So if you give me her subconscious at 90, she didn't know me. She couldn't remember half the things in her life, right? So you're going to have to download that throughout their life to develop a full person, right? Or a full consciousness. Because, and people could say, well, with AI, we won't have as much dementia.
Well, when you have the Neuralink, which I do think we're going to get to the point. It's definitely not going to be in our lifetime, but we're going to get to the point where everyone's going to have some sort of Neuralink that makes your life easier, but that data is just going to be stored. And then you have the subconscious.
Right, and now you got to get into the whole, you can't trust the people who store that data. So, it's, We've run into that problem every time. And that's where we always kind of sounds corny, but that was what's great about our country. You're independent. You don't have to do these things if you don't want to.
Yeah.
That's every person is their own agent. And
but then here's the question. Now, what about the countries that aren't free and don't have that independence? They're putting it in their soldiers, and their soldiers are stronger, better, smarter because of the AI. Does that mean our army has to start getting them to keep up?
Well, the point in America is if a soldier wants to do it, he can do it.
Right.
You have the choice. That's the difference. They're not going to give you a choice.
I guess the real question is, and there's no way we can answer this, what's likely to happen first, that or a unified AI where one company or group of people is controlling one AI that controls the world?
That's the ultimate goal.
Right.
We talked
so
about
which
that.
one comes
first?
first?
Goal.
I guess
they're going to want to put it in the hands of a small group of people who supposedly think they know better, which is the antithesis of what our country's based on, of our ideology and what has made our country extremely successful and great.
Right.
Because we believe in independence and it's a choice. If you want to put an AI chip in your head, go right ahead, as long as it doesn't infringe on me and my rights to not have one put in my head. That's the difference. I don't know if you can live in that kind of a society, though, right? Because the AI chips are going to want to take over the non-AI chip people.
Yeah.
You lose your rights.
Do I have any other ones? I have one anime one. We don't have too many anime ones, very rarely. But big deal, tomorrow, the new season of a show that I kind of grew up on called Hunter x Hunter, which I think we should start
You grew up on a lot of shows.
Well, there's
I've never heard of.
There's
Hunter?
It's Hunter x Hunter, but it's pronounced Hunter x Hunter. But this is one of those ones where I forget what the story was, but basically I think the guy either passed away or whatever it was, and then many years went by, and then they had to finish the comic or the thing to keep up with it. And now I guess over the last 10 years they finished it, or the guy's been writing it, and then it starts up again tomorrow. So everyone's pretty excited for that. But then the guy today goes, yeah, I'm going to take another break or whatever. I think it was just on break.
Come on.
But the last one finished in 2013, I think it was. 2013. And then we've been waiting since then. So between Bleach and that.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Between well, Bleach was the longest. Bleach I waited 9 years for.
Oh my God.
And Dave, I haven't watched the new season yet, but Dave tells me it's phenomenal. Oh. So I gotta start it pretty soon, but I want to watch it in my bed, in my TV, which is down in New Bern, which I'm not at. But so that was a big deal because that's a really good show. I didn't realize, it's been so many years since I've seen it, but I didn't realize how deep the lore on that one goes. I was like, what do you mean there's so much more to this that I don't even know about? It makes Game of Thrones look pathetic, but they all do. So
these go much longer threads than
normally they don't, but yeah. I know One Piece is taking almost a year hiatus. It doesn't come out till next summer or something like that, which I don't know if they've ever had that. I don't think so. So it's pretty.
Are you talking about the anime one or the
One Piece, the anime, not the Netflix one.
The Netflix one.
You guys got a long time till you guys catch up to where we are in One Piece. I don't think that's going to be at least 30 seasons just in itself.
But I'm telling you that the real actors, they'll probably be like a 2-year hiatus because it just takes that much longer to do a real actor.
Yeah, there's no way time-wise that they'll be able to get everything important. They're going to skip a lot to catch up and make sure those actors are still young to play those. Yeah. Because One Piece was 90... One Piece started in 98? 96? 98, I think? So...
You were born 96, so...
Yeah, I forget when One Piece started, but there's no way... I don't know how many arcs there are in One Piece, but there's no way that they'll be able to do it in the speed at which they're doing it.
Well, and they have to keep the enthusiasm. If the audience isn't there, they won't keep
doing it. I think you're good on that because One Piece is a global show. Think of how well it did in America. It did better in other countries because Japan, they have entire amusement parks just dedicated to this show. So that's what I mean. The culture aspect, it's hit here in America, but in Japan and China and all those, it's pretty massive.
But that's the anime version. I don't know if they're that into the live production or the human production.
Yeah, I wonder. I would love to see I wonder what's bigger, the One Piece show as the live action or Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones is bigger, but I bet you there's a lot of people overseas watching the live action One Piece, or at least saw it, just because of how big the population is.
Yeah.
So, but this is a big one. I'm excited, even though the main character is not the main character anymore, which is very. It's like how could you do this to me? It's his friend. I'm like, what do you mean? There's another. So right, mother, let me just shatter my soul for a second. So you follow the main character for the first, yeah. So for the first, like, I forget how old I was when I watched it. I'm gonna say I was like 16. For the first 16, for my year of watching it, I think it was more than that. I probably finished it at like 18. But you follow the main character, and then time goes on because it ended.
Right.
You're like, what am I supposed to do with myself? And then they go, it's coming back. And you're like, yes. And then they go, oh, but it's not the main character because of the ending of the last one. And then they go, it's going to be his friend. And it's like, okay, that's cool, fine. And then apparently the main character for the first one comes back later. But it's like, what am I supposed to do with myself?
Right.
It's just not the same. But
it's risky because now somebody who was 16 to 18 is now in his late 20s and may not be into that anymore. Like, that's a risky thing for them. I don't know you. I'm just saying.
Did anyone notice how my eyes just like went? Yeah, I just glared.
Normal people might move on.
You're not the normal people anymore. We're the normal ones. If Game of Thrones waited 10 years, you would have watched it 10 years later. If they're like, oh, we're going to actually continue the story and tell you what happened with whoever the...
Well, you know what? Things I watched at 16 and 18, even now, I'm like, I can't believe I was interested in that.
Well, I think because back then it wasn't... Yeah, but that's because the live action aspect kind of, like, is cheesy now. When it comes to animations, like, people will still watch... I mean, Dragon Ball came out in, what, 92? People will still watch... Dragon Ball. Not Dragon Ball Z.
But you say that, well, maybe it's a generational thing because you made me watch that anime.
Promised Neverland.
Is that what it was? To me, that was cheesy because of
Yeah, because my mom doesn't like. She didn't want to watch it in Japanese. She had to watch it in English, and the English dubbing is terrible.
Well,
that's why we hate it.
Even the Japanese with the corny.
That's never happened in any of the shows that I watch. There's never a show that I would make you watch.
Japanese and it's like choppy, and all of a sudden it, goes to the next scene, and they're out.
I'm telling you, Attack on Titan. Matt Sprague. That's never happened.
And you see their faces and their eyes.
So maybe in your defense, Promised Neverland is about kids that are in an orphanage and they find out that they're actually like harvesting the children.
Yes.
It's a good premise, but you're right. It's kids, so you're gonna have that. Listen, you and I should watch the first episode of Attack on Titan. Now remember, Matt Sprague is very anti-anime, right?
Yeah.
He says Attack on Titan is by far like his top 3 favorite show of all time.
Okay.
So it's definitely worth it.
Okay.
It's very long, it's very political, but it's really freaking good. People call that one of the greats.
All right.
So I think it's good. Ready, hot take. This is where I get dragged on the internet. Attack on Titan's really good. I don't put it over like a Naruto or a One Piece or a Bleach.
All right.
I'd probably put it over Hunter x Hunter, but Hunter x Hunter's really good.
It's your taste, So
yeah, but my taste, again, people have opinions, I have facts. That's the... yeah. Like, there's a show that...
No.
Here's another... No. I have a lot of... let's just get dragged on the internet here. I have a lot of anime hot takes that are definitely right, but people, like, argue. There's a show called Death Note, which was very popular. I don't know when that came out, but the premise is this guy. There's actually a live action of it. You might remember they did a movie on it as well, and then they started a show. Yeah, the guy. It's an interesting premise. It's a guy that gets a book where he would write people's names in it, and they would die. Okay. Right, and the way it's written is genius. It's very well written, but. Again, people are like, it's the greatest of all time. I'm like, it's not. It's not even close. Like, it's not even...
Opinion,
it's not... No. It's a fact. It's a fact.
It's an opinion.
It's not that great. It's good. It's not fantastic. You know why? Because it's only like, I think 50 episodes. And to me, a show that's only 50 episodes isn't able to really compete against like a 200 episode show that just has more depth. That's what it is. It just has more depth, like a Naruto. Like Naruto, I mean, my kids are watching it. They don't have a choice. If they say, Dad, I want to stay home from school and watch Naruto, go ahead. Because I know you're going to get more out of it.
I've never seen a Naruto, but...
A Naruto, oh my God.
I go back to
Naruto, not Naruto.
I mean,
an episode.
An episode of it. I just know when I'm watching the anime, and the kid's supposed to be mad, and they draw it like with the eyes or lines. Like,
I don't think. Yeah, that's not.
Cheesy,
but
know?
you won't see that in something like a Naruto.
Oh, when they're scared and they draw the eyes really big, and then you hear like I was saying, "Wow!"
That's not a thing. Again, that's never happened. Maybe like a joke moment. Maybe in a joke moment, but in like a serious show, that doesn't really happen.
But they don't like the
like
food,
Attack on Titan, you won't see that.
And you have a scene where they sketch the person go.
Yeah. Attack on Titan, you won't see that. I'll tell you this though, Attack on Titan, because I know you're gonna get into it after one episode. You're gonna be like, Chris, what's the next one? There's a lot of names and a lot of like, you gotta pay attention. Yeah. You're like, what the hell? And what's cool is when I watch it back, which I haven't done yet, you see, I actually watched a little bit with Sprague because everyone was watching it, and then you see like the background and you go, oh my God, he was there the whole time. Like stuff like that. You go, whoa. So.
Well, okay, so in all fairness, everybody's watching Game of Thrones. I heard about it all the time. I was busy with kids and whatnot. I was not that into it. Never gave it a thought. After a while, I'm like, all right, I'm looking for something to watch, and I put on Game of Thrones. I watched the first one. I'm like, oh, it was pretty good. Watched it again while I'm ironing, doing other stuff. I get to the end of the first season, and now I'm really into it. But then I realized I wasn't paying attention to half the names, half the people, and all that stuff. I wound up going back and rewatching it because now I start looking at the stuff online and they're talking about all these nuanced things that I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started watching it a second time. I think, oh wow, now I'm paying attention. Like you said, the names, the families, the characters, and what it means.
There's a show that Kenny and I watched called Tokyo Revengers. It's a really good show. The amount of names in there that they all sound the same.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Japanese, right?
It's like you have Mikey who's the main character. Then you have like a Takamichi. You have Tikanomi. Like it's like what the. I couldn't even pay. It's a good show, but like I couldn't tell you the names. I can only go by the faces.
But then when I went online, and now you see all the stuff online. You got the family trees. Each family has a tree, and they go back in history to some of the original characters. This is all from R. Martin's books. But then add to this now. Okay, so the season ends. Now you got 2 years before the next one comes out. As you get older, it's hard to remember stuff. I had to watch these shows a third time before the season started. In all fairness, it's been 2 years.
So let me put this in perspective for you. So with Attack on Titan, you watched the first season.
Yeah.
And it's such a mind boggle. You're like, okay. So you come back, like a year and a half later for season 2, and you're like, who is this person again?
Right.
What? Oh, they betrayed who? Like, who's who?
Yeah.
You have traitors that you know are traitors that you're like, do they know? Yeah. So the time goes on. Yeah, we should watch an episode tonight.
Well,
I think
when the new House of Dragons came out, so Game of Thrones ended. The House of Dragons came out, so just put it in perspective. So now I'm like, all right, who are these people?
Yeah.
Like, this goes back even further. Okay. So I go online, and there are literally hundreds of family trees that people have done that go back. They even put the mythological people on there. The person who was assumed to be the stepson of the blah blah blah.
Again, we're talking. You're talking English. I'm talking. When it comes to Attack on Titan, it's like a whole nother language. Like because now you have to. I don't want to spoil it. So somewhat spoiler in 2 seconds here.
Okay.
There's a lot of like future and past.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? That person was there in both time periods.
Right.
Like, you have to figure it out.
Yeah,
and you're like, wait, what
crazy.
the hell?
Yeah, that's crazy.
When it all comes together in the end, when it all comes together and you go, ah!
Is it a closed series?
It's 4 seasons.
Oh, okay.
They just finished it, like, beginning of this year. And, Mom, there was a dry eye in the room.
Oh, so it's not like an anime that keeps going on and on for 20
No, it's
years.
done. They finished it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that's why it's a lot of seasons, and then they had to do, they did like it was like, they said, it's only going to be 3 seasons, and then they did like a 3.5, and then
Yeah,
so it's
something
really
like
like
that.
it's like 6 seasons but 12 episodes each.
Okay.
Mom, I'm telling you, first season. After first season, you could go.
All
But
right.
you
If I
like
have time,
first
I'll
episode
take a
tonight,
look
mother.
at it.
Tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
How
did that
Bye, guys. We were too deep.
We're not in it.
That view is more narrow than the other one, but I'll just turn it a little bit. It might be a little off, but we're gonna wrap it up anyway. But yeah, so Hunter x Hunter, super excited for it, even though it's a different character. We'll see what it is. It's the same story, like it's still in the same universe or whatever, but this one's gonna be big. I'm excited.
When does that start?
Literally tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably about
There's a bunch of other stuff.
ready,
I gotta start the new season of Bleach, which is apparently nuts.
Oh, jeez.
So that one's a good one. And then there's another really good show right now called The Dan, which is really good. I started that one. It's silly, but it's really good.
Okay.
So that's a good one. I think that's really all I'm watching right now.
All right.
But, yeah, so that's about it, guys. I got nothing else for you. We hit all of our articles. I'm starving, and we have a UFC in tonight, so that's why I'm like, oh.
Of course.
But so only things we have to promote again. We're still trying to figure out going home or whatever the freaking plan is.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might still be here doing this till after
Don't
Christmas.
Look at me. It's not my
So,
fault.
social media, promo code, stream links, Discord down below. I'm still posting videos as fast as I can. And again, no cameras is a little weird. Still can't stream, but either way, we'll end it there. So, as I said, social media, all that stuff. And we will see you next week, hopefully with my brothers. Hopefully, we got to do one together.
Right.
Especially if they went to Indianapolis. And I flubbed that one. Indianapolis, Indiana. But I just mixed like 4 states there in one. But wherever they are at this Penn State game, I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it. So, letters.